What's up, guys? It's Cassie and Sara, and today we're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee Cannibal.
And if you like murder mysteries, make sure you subscribe and keep on watching. Jeffrey Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal or the Milwaukee Monster, was an American serial killer and sex offender who committed the murder and dismemberment of 17 men and boys from 1978 to 1991. Many of his later murders involved necrophilia, cannibalism, and the permanent preservation of body parts, typically all or part of the skeleton. He was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, and psychotic disorder. He was found to be legally sane at his trial. Dahmer was later sentenced to a 16th term of life imprisonment for an additional homicide committed in Ohio in 1978.
He killed a lot of people.
A lot of people.
And he had a lot going on. Necrophilia, cannibalism, and preservation of body parts. Like, that's like...
And, like, keeping, like, almost the full skeleton.
Yeah. Gross. Kind of crazy. Like...
But we were talking about this. Is it weird?
Yes.
That I
Yes, it's weird.
Like,
yes.
I like it.
Yeah. There's something
psycho.
wrong about it. Also, at his trial, he was found legally sane.
He knew what he was doing, or whatever.
So he was, like, mentally there.
Yeah.
That's what they remember. Okay.
Dahmer had been an energetic and happy child, but became notably subdued after a double hernia surgery shortly before his 4th birthday. At elementary school, he was regarded as a quiet and timid child. One teacher said she sensed he felt neglected because of his mother's illnesses. In grade school, he had a small number of friends. From an early age, Dahmer manifested an interest in dead animals. He initially collected large insects, such as dragonflies and butterflies, in jars. Later, he collected animal carcasses from the roadside, occasionally accompanied by one or more friends. He dismembered these animals either at home or in a nearby woodland. According to one friend, Dahmer dismembered these animals and stored the parts in jars in the family tool shed, explaining that he was curious as to how animals fitted together. He decapitated the carcass of a dog before nailing the body to a tree and impaling the skull on a stake beside a wooden cross in the woods near his house. His fascination with dead animals might have begun when, at the age of 4, he saw his father removing animal bones from beneath the family home. According to Lionel, his father, Jeffrey was oddly thrilled by the sound the bones made and became preoccupied with animal bones. When he reached puberty, Dahmer discovered he was gay. He did not tell his parents, and in his early teens, he had a brief relationship with another teenage boy, although they never had intercourse. Dahmer began fantasizing about dominating and controlling a completely submissive male partner. These fantasies gradually became intertwined with dissection, and when he was about 16, Dahmer conceived a fantasy of rendering unconscious a particular male jogger he found attractive, and then making sexual use of his body. On one occasion, Dahmer concealed himself in the bushes with a baseball bat to lay in wait for this man. However, he did not pass by on the particular day. Dahmer later said this was his first attempt to attack someone. That was long.
That was long.
But, I mean, I think it was necessary to talk about this.
Yeah, it had to all be together, because if we split it up to talk about it, it would have lost.
Yeah, and it, like, talks about the beginnings of his...
Of Dahmer, yeah. Why he kind of, or how he kind of became who he was.
Yeah.
That's a lot going on. So he would pick up dead animals with his friends.
His friend... No wonder why he started having little friends. I mean...
Little friends?
I mean, a little...
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, because everyone probably thought he was, like, cuckoo.
If I was, like, younger, I'd be like, step away.
Yeah.
But now I feel like if that's what you want to, like, collect, go for it. I'm not gonna...
So you're telling me, we're driving down the roads back here in Utica, New York, and I'm like, Sarah, we gotta stop and get that dead raccoon. And I'll be like... And I just pick it up and put it in my trunk. You're gonna be like...
I'd be like, okay.
I don't know. I feel like you would be a little more weird.
Well, no, I'd be like, why? And then if you're like, it's like one of my...
I want to pull it apart.
Yeah, then I'd be like, okay. You do you. I won't interfere.
No. No, if you did that, I'd be like...
Get out.
This is when I die.
His fantasies.
Oh, Yeah, like, I feel like fantasies like that are normal.
Yeah, because
I mean, it didn't say they were, like, extreme, right? It just said that he had fantasies about dominating. But, like, for a young boy, I feel like that's probably normal. Or for a young girl, you know? But, like...
Like, for like, a young boy dominating someone and maybe a girl being dominated by someone.
But it's
I know that. I know that.
But it's when, like, it's taken, like, too far.
When they're unconscious?
Yeah.
Like he said?
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer committed his first murder in 1978, 3 weeks after his high school graduation. On June 18th, Dahmer picked up a hitchhiker named Stephen Mark Hicks, who was almost 19. He lured the youth to his house on the pretext of the two young men drinking alcohol together. Hicks, who had been hitchhiking to a rock concert at Chippewa Lake Park, agreed to accompany Dahmer to his house. According to Dahmer, after several hours drinking and listening to music, Hicks wanted to leave, and I didn't want him to. He bludgeoned Hicks with a 10-pound dumbbell and later stated he'd struck Hicks twice from behind with the dumbbell as Hicks sat upon a chair. When Hicks fell unconscious, Dahmer strangled him to death with the bar of the dumbbell, then stripped the clothes from Hicks' body before doing sexual actions to himself as he stood above the corpse. Dahmer dissected Hicks' body in the basement. He later buried the remains in a shallow grave in his backyard before several weeks later unearthing the remains and paring the flesh from the bones. He dissolved the flesh in acid before flushing the solution down the toilet. He crushed the bones with a sledgehammer and scattered them in the woodland behind the family home.
So he lured this young guy back to his house.
And I didn't put it in here, but the only reason he picked up, what was his name? Steven, was because apparently Steven was bare-chested, and that's what Jeffrey found attractive.
Oh, okay, so Jeffrey was attracted to Steven.
Because he was bare-chested when Dahmer, like,
saw him. So then he brought him home, knocked him out.
Yeah.
Strangled him.
And performed sexual acts on
himself.
And
then basically chopped him up, scraped his flesh from his bones.
And then crushed his bones and scattered them.
Weeks. Okay, so weeks later. So basically he buried the body. Weeks later, dug him up.
I guess.
Scraped the skin off and all that.
Like acid.
Deboned him.
Deboned him. Deboned him.
And then put his bones in acid and crushed them up and spread them
around.
That's
good. That's disgusting.
Psychotic.
Yes. That is not attractive. That part is not attractive.
That's like a lot of work too.
Well,
dang.
I mean, I don't think he was like skinny. I think he had some, so I think it would be easy for him.
Not even that, but that's like a lot of work. Obviously, he was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if he could do all that.
Like, I mean, and also, Steven wanted to leave, but Jeffrey's like, no, we're doing this.
Well, I'm doing this.
Yeah, he's like, I'm doing this. You're just gonna lay there.
That's awful. Oh.
In January 1979, on his father's urging, Dahmer enlisted in the United States Army, where he trained as a medical specialist at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas. On July 13, 1979, he was stationed in Baumholder, West Germany, where he served as a combat medic in the 2nd Battalion, 68th Armored Regiment, 8th Infantry Division. 2 soldiers attest to having been raped by Dahmer while in the Army. One stated that Dahmer had repeatedly raped him over a 17-month period while they were both stationed in Baumholder, while another soldier believes Dahmer drugged and raped him inside an armored personnel carrier in 1979. Dahmer's alcohol abuse deteriorated his performance, and in March 1981, he was deemed unsuitable for military service and was later discharged from the Army. He received an honorable discharge. I didn't think you would be able to do that
in the Army.
Like, rape people. I don't know how they would have found the time, because I know when Dan went through basic training, like he
had no time for anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously we don't know what it's like in the Army, so
yeah.
We don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I found it kind of weird, like medical. you know, what he's kind of doing is, like, dissecting and stuff. So
that's not, like, too much of a surprise that...
So maybe the stuff he learns here will help him in the future. Dang.
Probably. That's not good. That's really not good.
Not good at all. I don't think his upper, like, authorities, like, or whatever, knew about his alcohol abuse, so I think that's why he got the honorable discharge.
Yeah, why didn't he get dishonorable discharge?
Yeah, so I don't think they knew about his alcohol abuse.
Yeah, they just thought that he couldn't,
yeah,
for whatever reason, like, perform in the army, I don't know.
Yeah. A 17-month period being raped by Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't think I'd be able to go 17 months without saying something. I knew, obviously, it's a time where that's taboo.
Yeah, and especially say that it was by a man.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean...
You know, like, that's a whole different ballgame.
And, like, they were also drugged, so they couldn't, like...
Are people gonna believe you or just say, man up, you're in the army, you should be able to defend yourself? Like, I feel like in that time, the authorities might have just said that. I don't know, though. I don't know. We don't know what it's like in the army, so...
In December 1981, Jeffrey's father and stepmother sent him to live with his grandmother in West Allis, Wisconsin. His grandmother was the only family member to whom he displayed any affection. By late 1985, he had begun to regularly frequent the bathhouses. But during his sexual encounters, he became frustrated at his partners moving during the sexual act. Following his arrest, he stated, "I trained myself to view people as objects of pleasure instead of as people." For this reason, beginning in June 1986, he administered sleeping pills to his partners, giving them liquor laced with sedatives, then raping their unconscious bodies.
I'm surprised he showed any affection to anyone at all. So the fact that they said his grandmother was one person that he seemed to like or whatever.
Maybe she just...
But if you're...
Obviously she doesn't know about this, but maybe she understood him more than his parents.
But would you consider Jeffrey Dahmer like a psychopath?
Oh, 100%.
So
yeah.
if he's a psychopath, can he have any...
I think so.
Are you sure?
I think so.
I don't know. Or is that sociopaths that can't?
We'll have to let us know.
But, like, maybe it's both of them, but they don't have the ability to feel affection or anything like that, like remorse, nothing. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
For what he did, he deserves to die.
Mm-hmm.
So he obviously feels...
But does he feel bad, or he just think, like, you know what I mean? Like, is it him actually feeling bad, or is it him knowing that his actions like that should have consequences?
I think.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
On November 20th, 1987, Dahmer encountered a 25-year-old Stephen Tuomi in Ontonagon, Michigan, at a bar and persuaded him to return to the Ambassador Hotel in Milwaukee, where Dahmer had rented a room for the evening. According to Dahmer, he had no intention of murdering Tuomi, but rather intended to drug and rape him as he lay unconscious. The following morning, however, he awoke to find Tuomi laying beneath him on the bed, his chest crushed in black and blue, with bruises. Blood was also seeping from the corner of his mouth, and Dahmer's fist and one forearm were extensively bruised. Dahmer stated he had no memory of killing Tuomi, and later informed investigators that he could not believe this had happened. To dispose of Tuomi's body, he purchased a large suitcase in which he transported the body to his grandmother's residence. 1 week later, he severed the head, arms, and legs from the torso. Then he filleted the bones from the body before cutting the flesh into pieces small enough to handle. Dahmer then placed the flesh inside plastic garbage bags. He wrapped the bones inside a sheet and pounded them into splinters with a sledgehammer. The entire dismemberment process took him approximately 2 hours to complete, and then he disposed of all of Tuomi's remains, excluding the severed head in the trash. Maybe he was on something, or maybe that's where his, like, schizophrenia, kicked in.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I mean, it's possible if he can't remember. So there's a possibility that he really didn't know what he was doing in this one instance, because the others he knew, but...
Or maybe he was just, Not like in a, you know how like when you get so angry or something, like you
rage.
can black out or whatever and just
maybe something happened and told me to leave or
crushed
something.
his chest and...
Ooh.
Dahmer began to actively seek victims, most of whom he encountered in or close to gay bars, and whom he typically lured to his grandmother's home. There he drugged them before or shortly after engaging in sexual activity with them. Once he had rendered the victim unconscious with sleeping pills, he killed them by strangulation. In September 1988, Dahmer's grandmother asked him to move out because of his habit of bringing young men to her house late at night, and the foul smells emanating from both the basement and the garage. In January 1989, Dahmer was convicted of second-degree sexual assault and of enticing a child for immoral purposes. Sentencing for the assault was suspended until May 1989. Grandma finally kicked his booty out.
Yeah, but like if she smelled stuff coming from the basement in the garage, wouldn't she go check it out?
Oh, yeah, I would.
I'd be like, why does it smell like that?
Why is that? Yeah.
I'd just be like, okay, get out. Well, what do you mean? She must have known.
I wonder if she knew about his, like, bone collection, like, when he was younger.
Maybe thought that that's what the smell was.
That's what it was, but...
Or maybe she thought he was still collecting animal bones.
Yeah. So that's a possibility, but, I mean, still, I would be like, why does it smell so bad?
Yeah.
Like, you need to do something. I would go in there and I'd be like, you
look.
need to do something about this smell.
Not just say, oh, clean it up. Like, does she never go in her garage?
I mean, she ain't got no car or nothing.
I mean, well, she needs a tool for something.
She an old lady. What's she gonna fix?
You don't know. It's something.
In June 1990, Dahmer lured a 27-year-old acquaintance named Edward Smith to his apartment. He drugged and strangled Smith on this occasion rather than immediately acidifying the skeleton or repeating previous processes of bleaching, which had rendered previous victims' skulls brittle. Dahmer placed Smith's skeleton in his freezer for several months in hope it would not retain moisture. Freezing the skeleton did not remove moisture, and the skeleton of the victim would be acidified several months later. He accidentally destroyed the skull when he placed it in the oven to dry, a process that caused the skull to explode. Dahmer himself was to later inform police he had felt rotten about Smith's murder as he had been unable to retain any parts of his body. The only reason he felt bad was because he couldn't keep a body part.
Exactly. Not because he killed his acquaintance or friend or whatever, and then he took somebody's life, but because he couldn't keep his skull. Also, how did he think that putting a head in an oven was a good idea? It's like putting Jack in the oven. How is that a good idea? And he kept his body in the freezer for months.
Yeah, to hope to get the moisture out. Which, I mean, that's because, like, once you take it out of the freezer, he's just going to, like, thaw out and then moisture.
Yeah.
Following the murder of a different victim, Dahmer did not kill anyone for almost 5 months, although on a minimum of 5 occasions between October 1990 and February 1991, he unsuccessfully attempted to lure men to his apartment. I think, like, during these times, though, is, like, where he, like, did the flashing or, like, exposed himself.
Yeah.
I know there was a time where he was, like, urinating, like, in front of, like, a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah, he's just doing some crazy stuff.
I think it said he was performing, like, sexual acts in front of, like, a 13-year-old boy, but then said, like, oh, I was urinating or whatever.
Yeah, he tried to cover it up.
Dahmer lured 25-year-old Joseph Bradhoff to his apartment. He strangled Bradhoff and left him lying on the bed covered with a sheet for 2 days. On July 21st, Dahmer removed these sheets to find the head covered in maggots, whereupon he decapitated the body, cleaned the head, and placed it in the refrigerator. He later acidified Bradhoff's torso, along with those of 2 other victims killed within the previous month. First of all, you don't leave a body there for 2 days, covered in a sheet.
Yeah, how did he think that was a good idea? He's already killed a lot of people. Like, wouldn't he kind of have, like, some idea, or just, like, in general?
Of how to kind of, like, preserve a body?
Yeah, or at least know, like, so if he messed around with dead animals when he was younger, he probably knew that you couldn't just leave.
What he needs is, like, formaldehyde.
Yeah, but, like...
Here I am giving tips.
Like, this is how you do this. But, like, wouldn't he know? But wouldn't he know from, like, messing around with dead animals that, like, the longer you leave it out, the more, like, gross it becomes?
Yeah, that's
like, why would he just...
It's just, like, rotting. And I feel like after it's been covered in maggots, it's kind of like, what's the point of saving it unless you just want to keep
the skull.
I don't know how far, like, if can maggots eat bones?
I don't know.
On July 22nd, 1991, Dahmer approached 3 men with an offer of $100 to accompany him to his apartment to pose for nude photos, drink beer, and simply keep him company. One of the trio, 32-year-old Tracy Edwards, agreed to accompany him to his apartment. Upon entering Dahmer's apartment, Edwards noted a foul odor and several boxes of hydrochloric acid on the floor, which Dahmer claimed to use for cleaning bricks. Dahmer unsuccessfully attempted to cuff his wrists together, then told Edwards to accompany him to the bedroom to pose for nude pictures. While inside the bedroom, Edwards noted nude male posters on the wall and that a videotape of The Exorcist III was playing. He also noted a blue 57-gallon drum in the corner, from which a strong odor emanated. Dahmer then brandished a knife and informed Edwards he intended to take nude photos of him. In an attempt to appease Dahmer, Edward unbuttoned his shirt, saying he would allow him to do so if he would remove the handcuffs and put the knife away. In response to this promise, Dahmer simply turned his attention towards TV. Edwards observed Dahmer rocking back and forth and chanting before turning his attention back to him. He placed his head on Edwards' chest, listened to his heartbeat, and with the knife pressed against his intended victim, informed Edwards he intended to eat his heart. Inside the living room, Edwards waited until he observed Dahmer have a momentary lapse of concentration before requesting to use the bathroom again. When Edwards rose from the couch, he noted Dahmer was not holding the handcuffs and punched Dahmer in the face, knocking him off balance and ran out the front door.
So he changed up, like, what he was doing. So now he's offering men to come back and pose for pictures. Or before, he was basically just taking them home as, like, dates and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think he did take pictures, but I think the victims were unconscious.
Yeah, I think,
possibly dead.
Yeah.
So that's probably just how, like, he got them now to, maybe he's like, that's easier.
Yeah, I guess. But, like, how many people you find on the side of the street that are willing to just come home with a stranger to pose for nude pictures? Like, wouldn't it be more likely for someone to come home with you, like, on a date?
I feel like he's been going for more, like, prostitutes.
Oh, for male prostitutes, you think?
Yeah. I know some of the victims were, like, male prostitutes. I think like, the ones we haven't mentioned yet.
So, so he thought that it'd be
prostitutes.
Easier. Makes sense.
Or, like, you know, he's just been frequenting gay bars and was just like, hey, I got money, do you want to come pose?
Maybe, yeah. But he was, like, smart enough to, like,
he's like, okay, let me just
relax,
like, let me do what he wants and
think
like,
it through. Smart. A lot of people.
Dahmer let his guard down a little bit.
I think he's, like, losing. Like, I think
he's losing his touch.
What is it? Devolving? Is that what it's called?
Do you think maybe he's, like, slowly realizing, like,
he's crazy? Or
I think he knew he was crazy. Hold on.
Or that, like,
maybe it's.
No, I think he's just
losing his touch.
Kind of, yeah.
You think
like
age is getting to him?
That, or he just is
trying. Because he's been doing this since 1978, and it's currently 1991.
Yeah, so maybe he's just devolving, and he's like, not just like careful. You know, he's like, oh,
he's like, I've gotten away with so much.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get away with this too.
He made a boo boo.
He made a boo boo,
and we're gonna
read about it.
We're gonna read about it. At 11:30 p.m. on July 22nd, Edwards flagged down 2 Milwaukee police officers, Robert Roth and Ralph Mueller, at the corner of North 25th Street. The officers noted Edwards had a handcuff attached to his wrist, whereupon he explained to the officers that a freak had placed the handcuffs upon him and asked if the police could remove them. When the officer's handcuff key failed to fit the brand of handcuffs, Edwards agreed to accompany the officers to the apartment where Edwards stated he had spent the previous 5 hours before escaping. When the officers and Edwards arrived at apartment 213, Dahmer invited the trio inside and acknowledged he had indeed placed the handcuffs upon Edwards, although he offered no explanation as to why he had done so. At this point, Edwards divulged to the officers that Dahmer had also brandished a large knife upon him and that this had happened in the bedroom. Dahmer made no comment to this revelation, indicating to one of the officers that the key to the handcuffs was in his bedside dresser. As Officer Mueller entered the second bedroom, Dahmer attempted to pass Mueller to retrieve the key, whereupon the second officer present informed him to back off. In the bedroom, Mueller noted that there was indeed a large knife beneath the bed. He also saw an open drawer which, upon closer inspection, contained scores of Polaroid pictures, many in which were of human bodies in various stages of dismemberment. At this point, Mueller opened the refrigerator to reveal the freshly severed head of a black male on the bottom shelf. As Dahmer laid pinned to the floor beneath Roth, he turned his head towards the officers and muttered the words, "For what I did, I should be dead." A more detailed search of the apartment, conducted by the Milwaukee Police's Criminal Investigation Bureau, revealed 4 severed heads were found in Dahmer's kitchen. 7 skulls, some painted, some bleached, were found in his bedroom and inside a closet. In addition, investigators discovered collected blood drippings upon the tray at the bottom of Dahmer's refrigerator, plus 2 human hearts and a portion of an arm muscle, each wrapped inside plastic bags upon the shelves. In the freezer, investigators discovered an entire torso plus a bag of human organs and flesh stuck to the ice at the bottom. They also discovered 2 entire skeletons, a pair of severed hands, 2 severed and preserved male genitalia, a mummified scalp, and in the 57-gallon drum, 3 further dismembered torsos dissolving in the acid solution. A total of 74 Polaroid pictures detailing the dismemberment of Dahmer's victims were found. In reference to the recovery of body parts and artifacts at 924 North 25th Street, the chief medical examiner later stated it was more like dismantling someone's museum than an actual crime scene. Those Polaroids are what did him in.
Yeah, why did Dahmer play along to it? He could have been like, no, I don't even know this guy. It would have been his word against...
Maybe what if deep down, way deep down in the depths of his dark soul, he was like, I'm gonna get caught. I'm gonna be done.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people, like a lot of serial killers, want to be caught. Like, they don't want to be caught, but they do. Like, it's like the thrill or whatever.
Yeah, it's like that cat and mouse kind of.
Yeah, so maybe because he was starting to, like... You know how he said he was, like, staring at the TV and let his guard down and blah, blah, blah. So, like, maybe he's, like, tired of it.
Yeah.
He feels like he has to do it, but he's tired of it, so he wanted to get caught.
Yeah, it's like he has this need he needs to satisfy, but he's just, like...
He doesn't want to, like...
But it's just, like, his body is just, like...
He has to. But I don't know why I like this last sentence.
Yeah, what...
The medical examiner said it was more like dismantling someone's museum than an actual crime scene. Like... That just is kind of like, whoa.
Like the skeleton, like he had full like skeletons,
body parts,
body
heads.
Parts.
Like it kind of puts it in like perspective for you, like to think about it.
How like
there would have been a lot of stuff there.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy. I don't know. I really like that sentence.
Beginning in the early hours of July 23rd, 1991, Dahmer was questioned by Detective Patrick Kennedy about the murders he had committed and the evidence found at his apartment. Over the following 2 weeks, Kennedy and later Detective Patrick Murphy conducted numerous interviews with Dahmer, which, when combined, totaled over 60 hours. Dahmer waived his rights to have a lawyer present throughout his interrogations, adding he wished to confess all as he had created this horror and it only makes sense I do everything to put an end to it. He readily admitted to having murdered 16 young men in Wisconsin since 1987, with one further victim, Stephen Hicks, killed in Ohio back in 1978. Dahmer readily admitted to engaging in necrophilia with several of his victims' bodies, including performing sexual acts with their viscera as he dismembered their bodies in his bathtub. Having noted that much of the blood pooled inside his victims' chest after death, Dahmer first removed their internal organs, then suspended the torso so the blood drained into his bathtub before dicing any organs he did not wish to retain, or paring the flesh from the body. The bones he wished to dispose of were pulverized or acidified with soil X, and used bleach solutions to aid in the preservation of the skeletons and skulls he wished to keep. In addition, he confessed to having consumed the hearts, livers, biceps, and portions of the thighs of several victims killed within the previous year.
What kind of contraption you got to hang a torso above your bathtub?
Maybe...
He would have had to have built something.
Yeah, he'd have to. I mean, I didn't read anywhere that he built anything,
But he must have, because,
Yeah.
like, if you had, like, a curtain over your bathtub, like
a curtain rod or something.
yeah, like for
That's
a
not-
shower,
I don't think
that
that's not gonna hold.
No. He would have had to
So-
build something.
Or maybe he just like added to like a curtain rod or something to like make it.
I don't know. I mean, torsos are heavy.
I wouldn't know.
Up
I
there
gotta
with the
give him
acid.
props though. He just
He
put
got
it all out there
and he got away with a lot until right now.
until now. Those Polaroids.
That's his downfall.
Dahmer's trial began on January 30th, 1992. He was tried in Milwaukee for the 15 counts of first-degree murder before Judge Lawrence Graham. By pleading guilty on January 13th to the charges brought against him, Dahmer had waived his rights to initial trial to establish guilt, as defined in Wisconsin law. 3 months after his conviction in Milwaukee, Dahmer was extradited to Ohio to be tried for the murder of his first victim, Stephen Hicks. In a court hearing lasting just 45 minutes, Dahmer again pleaded guilty to the charges and was sentenced to a 16th term of life imprisonment on May 1st, 1992. On November 28th, 1994, Dahmer was beaten to death by Christopher Scarver, a fellow inmate at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin. He pleaded guilty to everything.
Yeah.
He was...
Here I am. Went to jail for 2 years.
And then...
Got killed.
got killed. He got what was coming to him.
So he was trying to do his old moves in jail.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And it kind of came back to bite him in the butt.
Yep. So he died.
Yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't put on death row.
I know.
Because he charged for 15 counts of first-degree murder. I'm pretty sure that would put you on death row. But he wasn't on there that we know of. But I guess it didn't matter because he died 2 years later anyways. But
So, yeah. I know families were like...
it wasn't like closure to them.
No, that wasn't enough for them. And
Which, I mean, I feel like there never would be.
we didn't mention all of the victims. Like, just the main, like, ones. But he did kill other victims, so we thought we'd mentioned the other ones because we thought it would still be important to mention them.
Mm-hmm.
So in between the killings of the victims, there was James Daxtor. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce these right. I probably haven't pronounced other ones right. James Daxtator. You think that's
Daxtator.
Daxtator?
Oh.
He was 14, and Richard Guerrero, 22, in 1988, 2 months apart from each other. There was Raymond Lamont Smith, also known as Ricky Beeks. He was 32. Ernest Marquez Miller, 22, and David Courtney Thomas, 22, in 1990, which took place in a course of like 3 months. Curtis Durrell Straughter, 17, Errol Lindsay, 19, Tony Anthony Hughes, 31, Conorak Synthesomphone, 14, Matt Cleveland Turner, 20, Jeremiah B. Weinberg, 23, Oliver Joseph Lacey, 24, and which all happened in 1991 in a span of 5 months.
Yeah, so these are some of the names that we already said that we left out.
Yeah.
But we wanted to just mention them because they are important, but obviously you guys already know the story was much longer than our normal ones.
Yeah,
so
very
we
long.
wanted to, like, keep you guys interested, but still include the most important ones that we can put in there, but also include the names of the other victims.
Yeah.
Basically, Jeffrey Dahmer,
Psychopath,
killed a lot of people.
men, young boys.
He did a lot to them, like with taking their flesh off their bones and
Just saving
crushing their bones, saving
genitalia.
yeah. That's crazy. I mean, I guess you could say he kind of got what was coming to him.
Yeah.
Because he died in prison, but like...
Somebody killed him.
It's still... It's just a crazy story. Like, he's someone that people are going to remember
For like,
forever.
Ever. I do have to say, though, this was one of my favorite. Because I'm just like... I don't want people to call me sick, but...
It's interesting. It's like
It's
interesting stuff to read into, even though like it's gross and we don't agree with any of it. Like that's right, but
I just like that stuff.
Yeah,
Like
it's interesting.
Like me personally, I'm not into actually performing the acts, but just reading about it and other people. Interesting.
Yeah. So we hope that you guys enjoy the story of Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee Cannibal.
Or the Milwaukee Monster.
Yeah.
That's what they also called him.
Yeah.
But we like Milwaukee Cannibal better.
Yeah. It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
We hope you guys enjoyed the story. We know it was long. We're sorry for that, but we hope that, you stayed until this part.
Yeah. Leave a comment if we missed anything or if you want to add, like, your theories.
Or if you just want to talk about it, because we are more than...
Willing. We want to talk to you, so...
We do. We want to talk about the stories that we talk about because we know there's other people out there that are interested in just, like, talking about it,
Suggest a person. Like,
suggest stories that we can do.
Yeah.
We have a list, but we will definitely add it to the list. Oh, make sure you like this video,
Yeah.
leave a comment.
Subscribe. Turn on your post notifications. Follow us on social media. It'll all be linked down in the description.
Yeah. You guys know where it all is.
You know
it's down
the
below. Go find it. We will see you guys next Friday. Peace!